My name is Sophronia Butler, and I'm 72 years old. 6 months ago, my son and his wife kicked me out of my own home, the house I'd lived in for 45 years. They changed the locks, threw my belongings on the lawn, told me I was no longer welcome in the house I owned. They thought they'd won, thought they'd taken everything from me, thought I'd just disappear quietly. They were wrong, very wrong. Let me tell you about this moment, this perfect moment. I'm standing in my living room wearing my burgundy silk blouse and my favorite pearl necklace, looking out the front window at my son Prince and his wife Clemmy standing on the porch, my porch of my house. They're pounding on the door, ringing the doorbell over and over, shouting, "Mama, Mama, open this door, you can't do this. Mrs. Butler, please, we have nowhere to go, please let us in. This is our house, you have no right to lock us out." I sip my tea calmly, watching them through the window, watching them realize that the tables have turned completely, that the woman they threw away like garbage now holds all the power, that the house they thought they'd stolen is mine again, legally, completely, undeniably mine. Prince sees me through the window. His face goes from angry to desperate. "Mama, please, it's cold out here. We've been out here for 3 hours. Just let us in so we can talk." I walk to the front door. "Don't open it, just speak through it, loud enough for them to hear." "No." "What do you mean, no? This is our home." "No, this is my home. My name is on the deed. My name is on the mortgage, which is paid off, by the way. My name is on the property taxes. This house is mine. It has always been mine. You just forgot that when you kicked me out 6 months ago." "But Mama, we can explain. We made a mistake, we were stressed. We didn't mean." "You didn't mean to throw my clothes on the lawn. You didn't mean to change the locks while I was at the store. You didn't mean to tell me I was too old and too much of a burden to live in my own house. Which part didn't you mean, Prince?" Silence, because they had meant all of it, every cruel word, every heartless action. "Mama, please," Clemmy's voice now, crying. "We're sorry, we made a terrible mistake. But you can't leave us out here. We have nowhere to go. All our stuff is in there. Our clothes, our furniture, everything." "Everything? You mean all the things you bought with the money you stole from me? The new furniture you bought after throwing out my furniture? The expensive electronics you purchased while I was living in a shelter? That everything?" More silence, because they can't deny it, can't explain it away. "Here's what's going to happen," I say calmly. "I'm going to give you 1 hour to leave my property. After that, I'm calling the police and having you arrested for trespassing. Your belongings will be boxed up and put in storage. You'll get the address when you find a place to live and can pay the storage fees." "You can't do this," Prince shouts. "I'm your son, your only child. How can you treat me like this?" I open the door just a crack, look my son in the eyes. "How could I treat you like this? Prince, you threw your 72-year-old mother out of her own home. You changed the lock so I couldn't get back in. You stole my savings. You sold my car. You made me homeless for 6 months while you lived in my house and spent my money. And now you have the audacity to ask how I can treat you badly. We were going to pay you back." "Liar, you had no intention of paying me back. You thought I'd just disappear, thought I'd die quietly somewhere and you'd keep the house. Well, surprise, I didn't die, I didn't disappear, and I got my house back. And my house, not yours, mine." I close the door, lock it, and walk back to my living room, sit in my comfortable chair, the new chair I bought to replace the one they threw out, pick up my tea, and watch through the window as my son and his daughter-in-law realize they have no choice but to leave. They stand there for another 20 minutes, arguing with each other, blaming each other. Prince pointing at Clemmy, Clemmy crying and shouting back, both of them looking at the house, my house, like they can't believe they've lost it. Finally, they leave, walking down the street because they don't even have a car anymore. Apparently, they sold the car I'd given them. Probably needed the money since they'd blown through all the money they stole from me. And I sit in my living room, in my house, feeling something I haven't felt in 6 months, safe, secure, home. If this story has you hooked, you need to subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. We bring you the most dramatic grandmother stories every week. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from, USA, UK, Canada, Jamaica, Kenya. Let us know. Now let's get into this story. But to understand how we got here, how I went from being kicked out of my own home to standing inside while they begged to get in, I need to take you back to the beginning. Back to 1 year ago, when everything started to fall apart. 1 year ago, I was living peacefully in my home. The house my late husband and I bought 45 years ago. We'd raised Prince here, made memories here, paid off the mortgage through decades of hard work. My husband Homer had died 5 years earlier. Heart attack. It was sudden and devastating, but I'd managed, kept the house, kept myself going, had my routines, my friends, my church. My life was quiet but good. Prince was 47 years old. He'd always been a bit lazy, a bit entitled. But he was my son, my only child, and I loved him despite his flaws. He'd married Clemmy 10 years ago. I'd never liked her. She was manipulative, always had an excuse for why she couldn't work, always had a scheme to make easy money that never worked out. But Prince loved her, so I tried to be accepting. They lived about an hour away, didn't visit often, maybe once every few months, usually when they needed something, money, usually. One day, Prince called. "Mama, we need to talk to you about something important. Can we come over this weekend?" "Of course, baby. Is everything okay?" "We'll talk about it when we get there." They arrived on Saturday afternoon, both looking serious, concerned. "Mama," Prince said, sitting next to me on the couch, "we're worried about you." "Worried? Why?" "You're 72 years old. You're living alone in this big house. What if something happens? What if you fall? What if you have a medical emergency? There'd be no one here to help you." "I'm fine, Prince. I'm healthy. I have my phone. I have neighbors who check on me." "But Mama, that's not enough. Clemmy and I have been talking. We think you need family close by, someone who can make sure you're safe." Clemmy jumped in. "Mrs. Butler, we'd like to move in with you, to take care of you, to make sure you're okay." I was surprised. "Move in with me?" "But you have your own place." "Our lease is up next month," Prince said. "And honestly, rent keeps going up. It's getting harder and harder to afford. If we moved in here, we could help you and save money. It's a win-win." "I don't know. I'm used to living alone. I like my independence." "Mama, please. I'd feel so much better knowing you had family in the house, knowing someone was here if you needed help. Please, let us do this for you." I should have said no, should have trusted my instincts that this was a bad idea. But he was my son, and he'd framed it as wanting to help me. How could I say no to that? "Okay, you can move in, but this is still my house. My rules, understood?" "Of course, Mama, of course. Thank you. You won't regret this." But I did regret it, almost immediately. Prince and Clemmy moved in 2 weeks later. At first, things were okay. They were respectful, helpful even. Prince would mow the lawn. Clemmy would cook dinner sometimes. They'd watch TV with me in the evenings. But gradually, things changed. Small things at first. They'd have friends over without asking, play music too loud, leave messes for me to clean up, eat food I'd bought without replacing it. When I'd bring it up, Prince would say, "Mama, you're being too sensitive. We're family. We share things. That's how families work." Then bigger things started happening. They'd make decisions about the house without consulting me, rearranged furniture, painted a bedroom without asking, started talking about renovations they wanted to do. "This is still my house," I'd remind them. "You need to ask me before making changes." "Mama, we're just trying to help, trying to make the house nicer. Why are you being so difficult?" Then came the money issues. They weren't working. Prince said he was between jobs. Clemmy said she was looking for the right opportunity, but neither of them seemed to be trying very hard to find work. They'd ask me for money, for groceries, for gas, for bills. Small amounts at first, $20 here, $50 there, but it added up. "When are you going to pay me back?" I'd ask. "Soon, Mama. As soon as we get jobs, we promise." But they never paid me back, and they never got jobs. 6 months after they'd moved in, I discovered something that made me sick. My savings account, the one I'd been building for 40 years, was nearly empty. I'd had $75,000 in that account. Money I'd saved carefully. Money for emergencies, for my future, for my burial when the time came. Now it had $3,000 left. I checked the transaction history. Withdrawals, dozens of them over the past 6 months. Large amounts, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 at a time. I confronted Prince. What happened to my savings? There's $72,000 missing. He didn't even look guilty, just annoyed. Mama, we had expenses. We had to use that money to survive. That wasn't your money. That was MY savings. How could you steal from me? We didn't steal. You gave us access to your account for emergencies. We had emergencies. What emergencies? What did you spend $72,000 on in 6 months? Bills, groceries, gas. Mama, it's expensive living. You have no idea how much things cost these days. Then get jobs. Earn your own money instead of stealing mine. Clemmy jumped in. Mrs. Butler, you're being unreasonable. We've been taking care of you for 6 months. Doesn't that count for something? Don't you think we deserve some compensation? Compensation? For what? I don't need you to take care of me. I was fine before you moved in. Were you, though? Clemmy's voice turned cold. A 72-year-old woman living alone. Anything could have happened to you. We probably saved your life by being here. And you're complaining about a little money. A little money? You stole $72,000. We didn't steal anything. We used family resources to help the family. That's what families do. Get out, both of you. Get out of my house. Prince's face hardened. No. What? I said no. We're not leaving. Where would we go? We have no money, no jobs, no place to live. We're staying here. This is MY house. I'm telling you to leave. Mama, you need to calm down. You're getting worked up. This isn't good for your blood pressure. Maybe you should go lie down. Let us handle things. Handle things? What things? The house, the bills, everything. Mama, you're clearly not capable of managing things anymore. You're getting confused, forgetful. Maybe it's time we took over for your own good. I felt cold. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe you should just accept that we're in charge now. This is our house now. You can stay here, but you need to understand. We're making the decisions, not you. Get out. Get out right now or I'm calling the police. Clemmy laughed, actually laughed. Go ahead, call them. Tell them what? That your son and daughter-in-law are living in your house. That's not illegal. We're family. We're taking care of you. The police will tell you the same thing. I called the police anyway. Officer Royal came to my house, listened to my story, then said exactly what Clemmy had predicted. Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but your son and his wife are living here with your permission. That makes them residents. Even if you want them to leave now, they have tenant rights. You'd need to go through the eviction process. But this is my house. I understand, but legally, they're tenants. Even if they're not paying rent, they have a right to be here because you let them move in. You need to give them written notice to vacate. 30 days minimum. If they don't leave after that, you'd need to file for eviction through the courts. But they stole from me. They took $72,000 from my savings account. Did they have access to the account? Yes. I put Prince's name on it in case of emergencies. Then legally, they had permission to withdraw that money. I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is a civil matter. You'd need to take them to court if you want the money back. There's nothing I can do. Officer Royal left, and I realized I was trapped in my own house with people who were stealing from me, and there was nothing I could do about it immediately. Or so I thought. Because what Prince and Clemmy didn't know was that I was smarter than they gave me credit for. And I was about to show them exactly what happens when you underestimate a 72-year-old woman who's had enough. But before I could put my plan in motion, things got worse, much worse. Because 2 weeks after that police visit, Prince and Clemmy did something I never thought they'd do. They kicked me out of my own house. They kicked her out of her own house? If you're furious, smash that like button and subscribe immediately. Turn on notifications. And comment, where are you watching from? And what would you do in this situation? 2 weeks after the police visit, I went to the grocery store. Just a normal Tuesday morning. I'd left the house at 9 a.m. to do my weekly shopping. When I came back at 11 a.m., my key didn't work. I tried it again, and again. The lock had been changed. I knocked on the door. "Prince, Clemmy, the door is locked, let me in." No answer. I knocked louder. "Prince, I know you're in there, open this door." The door opened, but just a crack. Prince stood there blocking the entrance. "Mama, we need to talk." "Open the door and let me in. I have groceries." "Number Mama, Clemmy and I have been discussing this. We don't think this living situation is working out anymore." "What are you talking about? Let me in my house." "That's the thing, it's not your house anymore. Not really. We've been paying the bills, maintaining the property, taking care of everything. We feel like we've earned the right to live here without you interfering all the time." "Interfering? This is MY house. My name is on the deed." "Actually, Mama, we've been looking into that, and we found something interesting. Did you know that if someone lives in a property and maintains it for long enough, they can claim ownership through something called adverse possession?" My blood ran cold. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we've been living here, paying bills, acting as the homeowners, and we're going to continue doing that without you. You can't kick me out of my own house." "We're not kicking you out, we're just simplifying things. You'll be happier somewhere else. Somewhere more appropriate for someone your age. Maybe a senior living facility or a nice apartment." "I don't want to live somewhere else. This is my home." Clemmy appeared behind Prince. "Mrs. Butler, we've already packed your things. They're right here on the lawn. We've been very careful with everything. But you need to leave now." I looked behind me. There on the lawn were 3 garbage bags and 2 cardboard boxes. My clothes, my personal items, my photographs. Everything I own just thrown in bags like trash. "You can't do this. This is illegal." "Actually," Prince said, pulling out a piece of paper, "we had a lawyer look into it. Since we're residents and you've been creating a hostile living environment, that's the legal term. We have the right to exclude you from the property for the safety and peace of the household." "That's not true. None of that is true." "It doesn't matter what's true, Mama. What matters is what we can prove. And we have documentation of you being hostile, threatening us, accusing us of stealing, creating drama. A lawyer said that gives us grounds to remove you from the property while we sort things out." "You're lying. No lawyer would tell you that." "Believe what you want. But Mama, you need to leave. Take your things and go. We'll be in touch when we're ready to talk about a more permanent arrangement." "What permanent arrangement?" "Well, maybe you sign the house over to us officially. Or maybe we buy you out for a fair price, of course. But that's a conversation for later. Right now, you need to leave." "And if I don't?" "Then we call the police and tell them you're trespassing, that you're refusing to leave, that we're afraid for our safety. Who do you think they'll believe? 2 responsible adults? Or an elderly woman who's clearly confused and making wild accusations?" I stood there staring at my son, at the man I'd raised, the child I'd sacrificed everything for, and I didn't recognize him. This wasn't my son. This was a stranger, a cruel, greedy stranger who looked like my son but had none of his heart. "You'll regret this," I said quietly. "I don't think so, Mama. Now please, take your things and go." He closed the door. I heard the lock click, and I stood there on my own porch, looking at my belongings in garbage bags on my lawn, realizing my son had just made me homeless. Don't miss what happens next. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. Comment where you're watching from. I called the police again. Officer Royal came back, looked at the situation, looked at me standing on the lawn with my belongings in trash bags. "Ma'am, didn't we just talk about this 2 weeks ago?" "They changed the locks. They won't let me in. This is my house." Officer Royal knocked on the door. Prince answered. They talked quietly for a few minutes. Then Officer Royal came back to me. "Ma'am, your son says you've been creating a hostile environment, that you've been threatening them, that they don't feel safe with you in the house. He's filed a report about it." "That's a lie. He's the one who stole from me. He's the one." Ma'am, I understand you're upset, but this is a civil matter. Your son claims he's a resident with rights to the property. You claim it's your house. This needs to be sorted out in court. But right now, I can't force him to let you in. You need to find somewhere else to stay while you work this out legally. But where am I supposed to go? Do you have friends or family you can stay with? My only family is in that house, and my friends, most of them are elderly like me. I can't burden them. Then you might need to look into a shelter or a hotel. I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's nothing more I can do here. He left, and I stood there with my garbage bags, homeless at 72 years old. I ended up at the women's shelter, the same shelter I'd donated to for years. Now I was living there, sharing a room with 3 other women, sleeping on a cot, eating donated food. It was humiliating, devastating. I'd spent 45 years building a life in that house, and in one morning my son had taken it all away. But something happened in that shelter, something that changed everything. I met a woman named Geneva. She was 40 years old, a lawyer who'd fallen on hard times after a divorce. She was staying at the shelter temporarily while she rebuilt her practice. We got to talking one evening. I told her my story, about how my son had moved in, stolen my money, changed the locks, and kicked me out. Wait, Geneva said, whose name is on the deed to the house? Mine, just mine. My husband and I bought it together, but when he died, it transferred to me. It's in my name only. And your son isn't on the deed at all? No, I never put him on it. Then what he did is illegal, completely illegal. He can't just change the locks and kick you out of your own house. That's not how adverse possession works. That takes years, not months. And he definitely can't claim tenant rights give him the authority to exclude the property owner. But the police said, the police don't understand landlord-tenant law. They just know they can't force entry without a court order. But Sophronia, you don't need to force entry. You need to file an emergency motion. As the property owner, you can get a court order requiring your son to let you back in immediately. And you can file charges against him for theft. He stole $72,000 from you. But he was on my bank account. Being on a bank account doesn't give him permission to steal $72,000. That's still theft, especially if he used it for his own benefit instead of yours. We can prove that. And Sophronia, I can help you. I'll take your case. Pro bono. Free. Because what they did to you is wrong and I want to help make it right. For the first time in 2 weeks, I felt hope. You'd really help me. Yes, but I need you to be strong. This is going to be a fight. Your son is going to lie. He's going to make excuses. He's going to try to paint you as an incompetent old woman. Are you ready to fight back? Yes, I'm ready. Geneva worked fast. Within 3 days, she'd filed an emergency motion with the court. A hearing was scheduled for the following week. But Prince didn't know about any of this. He thought I was just gone, out of his life, out of his house. He thought he'd won. The day of the hearing arrived. I wore my best dress, the burgundy one I'd had in one of those garbage bags. Geneva wore her lawyer suit that she'd been keeping stored at a friend's house. We walked into the courtroom, and Prince and Clemmy were there. They'd been served with the court papers and legally required to appear. They looked shocked to see me with a lawyer, shocked that I was fighting back. The judge, a no-nonsense woman named Judge Missouri, reviewed the case. Mr. Butler, you changed the locks on a property owned solely by your mother and physically removed her from the premises. On what legal basis did you do this? Prince's lawyer, a young man who looked fresh out of law school, stood up. Your Honor, my client was acting as a resident with tenant rights. Mrs. Butler was creating a hostile living environment. Was he paying rent? Judge Missouri interrupted. No, Your Honor, but... Was there a lease agreement? No, but he was living there with his mother's permission. Permission she can revoke at any time since it's her house. Mr. Butler, did you change the locks on your mother's house? Prince stood up. Yes, but Your Honor, she was making wild accusations, claiming we stole from her, threatening us. We didn't feel safe. Did she threaten you physically? Well, not physically, but... Did she have any weapons? No, but... So a 72-year-old woman was making you, a 47-year-old man, feel unsafe through words alone. She was being irrational. We thought she might be experiencing dementia. Did you have her evaluated by a doctor? No, but... So you made a medical diagnosis without any medical training or evaluation. Prince was sweating now. We were just trying to protect ourselves. By stealing her house? Judge Missouri looked at the documents Geneva had filed. I see here that Mrs. Butler's bank account, which you had access to, was drained of $72,000 over a 6-month period. Can you explain that? Those were household expenses. We were paying bills. The property taxes on the house are $3,000 per year. Utilities run about $200 per month. That's $2,400 per year. Even with groceries and other expenses, you're looking at maybe $15,000 per year maximum. So where did the other $57,000 go? Silence, because Prince had no answer. No legitimate answer anyway. Judge Missouri made her ruling. Mr. Butler, you will immediately return all keys to your mother. You will move out of her property within 48 hours. You will return all of Mrs. Butler's possessions that remain in the house, and you will be subject to a civil suit for the $72,000 you stole from her account. This court also issues a restraining order preventing you from coming within 500 feet of Mrs. Butler or her property unless she explicitly invites you. Your Honor, that's not fair. Where are we supposed to go? We have no money, no place to live. You should have thought of that before you threw your elderly mother out of her own home. Case closed. 2 days later, Geneva and I stood outside my house with a locksmith and a police officer. We were there to enforce the court order. I knocked on the door. Prince, open up, I have a court order. No answer. The locksmith got to work, changed the locks right there. When he was done, I used my new key and opened the door. The house was trashed, furniture broken, walls damaged. They destroyed it, out of spite, out of rage, because they knew they were losing. But they weren't there. They'd already left, probably realized they had no choice but to comply with the court order. Geneva and I walked through the house surveying the damage. They did this to hurt you, Geneva said, to punish you for fighting back. They can destroy the furniture, they can damage the walls, but this is still my house, and they can't take that from me. What are you going to do now? I'm going to fix it. I'm going to make this house mine again. And Sophronia Butler is going to show her son that you don't mess with a woman who spent 72 years surviving everything life threw at her. Over the next 4 months, I worked every day fixing my house. I got a small loan from the bank using the house as collateral, hired contractors, repaired the damage, bought new furniture, made the house even better than it had been before. I also filed a civil lawsuit against Prince for the $72,000 he'd stolen. Geneva represented me. The case was strong, clear, undeniable. Prince tried to fight it, claimed the money was for household expenses and caring for me. But Geneva had bank records showing the money went to restaurants, shopping, entertainment, nothing related to household bills or my care. The judge ordered Prince to pay back the $72,000 plus interest and court costs. Total, $79,000. Prince didn't have it, didn't have any of it. He'd spent it all. So the judge ordered his wages garnished. 25% of any income he made would go to me until the debt was paid. But here's the thing, Prince didn't have a job, hadn't had one in over a year, so the garnishment order was meaningless. He wasn't paying me back because he had nothing to pay with. 6 months after that first court hearing, 6 months after I'd gotten my house back, I was sitting in my living room reading when I heard a knock at the door. I looked through the window, and my heart stopped. It was Prince and Clemmy, on my porch, looking terrible, dirty clothes, hollow eyes, desperate. They started pounding on the door, ringing the doorbell, shouting. And that's when I realized karma had finally caught up with them. They were homeless now, broke, desperate, just like they'd left me. And they were begging to come into the house they'd stolen from me, the house they'd thrown me out of, the house they'd destroyed out of spite. They were outside begging to come in. And I was inside, safe, secure, in control. She got her house back and now they're begging. If you're living for this justice, smash that like button and subscribe now. Turn on all notifications. And comment, where are you watching from? And would you let them in? I watched them through the window for a full 5 minutes before I did anything. Just watched Prince and Clemmy pound on my door, ring my bell, shout my name. They looked terrible. Prince's clothes were dirty and wrinkled. He'd lost weight, had dark circles under his eyes. Clemmy looked even worse. Her hair was unwashed. Her face was gaunt. She was crying. Part of me, a small, weak part, felt sorry for them. They were clearly suffering, clearly desperate. But then I remembered standing on this same porch 6 months ago with my belongings in garbage bags. Remembered my son telling me I needed to leave my own home. Remembered him changing the locks so I couldn't get back in. Remembered living in a shelter while they lived in my house and spent my money. That memory hardened my heart. I walked to the door, spoke through it. What do you want? Mama, thank God. We've been out here for hours. Please let us in. No, tell me what you want first. We need help. We have nowhere to go. We've been living in our car for the past 2 weeks and someone stole it last night. We literally have nothing. No money, no home, no car, nothing. Please, Mama, we're desperate. How did this happen? Where have you been for the past 6 months? There was a pause, then Clemmy spoke. After the court order, we moved in with my mother, but she kicked us out after 3 months when we couldn't pay rent. Then we stayed with friends, but they got tired of us. Then we tried living in cheap motels, but we ran out of money. We've been trying to find jobs, but nobody will hire us. We're broke, Mrs. Butler, completely broke, and we need help. What about the $72,000 you stole from me? Where did that money go? Another pause, then Prince, we spent it, okay? We thought we'd have time to make more money before it ran out. We thought we'd get jobs, we thought. We thought wrong, okay? We made mistakes. But Mama, we're starving, we're homeless. We need help, please, I'm your son. You're my son who threw me out of my own house, who stole my life savings, who destroyed my furniture out of spite. Why would I help you now? Because we're family, because we made a mistake and we're sorry, because we have nowhere else to turn. I thought about it, about what Geneva would tell me to do, about what I knew was right versus what I wanted to do. I'll make you a deal, I said through the door. I'll let you sleep in my garage tonight, one night. It's cold out and I won't let you freeze to death, but tomorrow morning you leave, and you don't come back unless I invite you. Deal. The garage. Mama, can't we sleep inside, in the house? No, the garage or nothing. That's my offer. I heard them arguing quietly. Then Prince, okay, thank you, Mama, we'll take the garage. I opened the side door to the garage, turned on the light. The garage was empty except for some boxes I'd stored there. No furniture, no heat, just a concrete floor and 4 walls. There are some old blankets in that box. You can use those. The door locks from the outside. I'll unlock it tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Be gone by 8 a.m. Mama, please. Those are my terms. Take them or leave. They took them. They had no choice. They dragged themselves into the garage, looking defeated and humiliated, and I locked the door behind them. I went back inside my house, made myself dinner, watched TV, tried not to think about my son and his wife sleeping on a concrete floor in my garage. But I did think about it, all night, barely slept. Make sure you're subscribed. Turn on all notifications because this story is reaching its peak. At 6 a.m., I heard pounding on the door again. Not the front door this time. The door connecting the garage to the house. Mama, we need to use the bathroom, please. I opened the door. Prince and Clemmy rushed past me to the bathroom. They looked even worse than the night before. Cold, hungry, desperate. When they came out, they found me in the kitchen making breakfast. Coffee, eggs, toast, just for me. They stood in the doorway watching. Their stomachs were probably growling. They hadn't eaten in who knows how long. Mama, Prince said quietly, can we please have some food, just a little, we're so hungry. I looked at them, really looked at them. These were the people who'd stolen from me, who'd thrown me out, who'd shown me no mercy when I was vulnerable. But they were also human beings, my son and his wife, and they were starving. "Sit down," I said. I made them eggs and toast, poured them coffee. They ate like they hadn't seen food in days. Maybe they hadn't. After they ate, Clemmy started crying. "Mrs. Butler, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. We were terrible to you, cruel, and we deserve everything that's happened to us. But please, I'm begging you, can we stay here, just for a little while, until we get back on our feet?" "No. Please, we'll do anything. We'll clean. We'll cook. We'll pay rent as soon as we find jobs. Please don't make us go back out there. You made me go out there 6 months ago. You didn't care where I went or what happened to me. Why should I care about you?" "Because you're better than us," Prince burst out. "You're a better person than we are. We were selfish and greedy and terrible. But you're good. You're kind. You wouldn't let us suffer the way we let you suffer." "Wouldn't I? Prince, you threw your 72-year-old mother out on the street. You made me homeless. You stole my life savings. And you didn't lose a single night's sleep over it. Why would you think I'm any better than you?" "Because you let us sleep in the garage last night when you could have just called the police. Because you fed us this morning when you could have let us starve. Because despite everything we did, you still have a conscience. We didn't, but you do." I was quiet for a long time, because he was right. Despite everything they'd done, I couldn't just let them die on the streets. I wasn't like them. I did have a conscience. "Here's what I'll offer," I finally said. "You can stay in the garage for 1 week only. During that week, you will both get jobs. I don't care what kind, fast food, retail, cleaning, whatever, but you will work. You will save every penny you earn, and after 1 week, you will find your own place to live. I'll help you with first month's rent 1 time only, but after that, you're on your own." "But Mama, those are my terms, take them or leave. And if you stay, you follow my rules. No stealing, no lying, no drugs or alcohol, no friends over. You work, you save money, and you get out. That's the deal." They looked at each other, then back at me. "We'll take it," Prince said. "Thank you, Mama, we won't let you down." "You already let me down. Now you're just trying to make up for it." The first few days were tense. Prince and Clemmy stayed in the garage. I'd let them use the bathroom and shower in the house, but they couldn't come in otherwise. They ate meals I prepared, but they ate in the garage, not at my table. True to their word, they both found jobs. Prince got hired at a warehouse, night shift, minimum wage. Clemmy got a job at a fast food restaurant, also minimum wage. They worked their shifts, came home exhausted, slept on the garage floor on the blankets I'd given them, and slowly they started saving money. On day 4, something happened that changed everything. I came home from church to find Prince and Clemmy in my living room, in my house, where they weren't supposed to be. "What are you doing in here?" I demanded. "You're not allowed in the house." "Mama, wait," Prince said, standing up quickly. "We're not trying to break your rules, but something happened, something you need to know about." "What?" "A man came by today. A lawyer. He said he's representing someone who wants to buy this house." My blood ran cold. "What?" "He said his client is offering $200,000 for this property. He left his card. He wants you to call him." I took the card. Virgil and Associates, Real Estate Law. "Did he say who the client was?" "No, just that they were prepared to make a very generous offer. Mama, $200,000 is a lot of money. This house isn't worth that much. Why would someone offer so much?" I knew exactly why. Someone was trying to steal my house. Again, but this time through legal means. "Did this lawyer say anything else?" "He said you should sell soon. That the neighborhood is changing and property values might drop. That this might be your only chance to get this much money." "That's a lie. This neighborhood is improving, not declining. Someone is trying to pressure me into selling." "But who and why?" I had my suspicions, but I needed to confirm them. I called the lawyer's office the next morning. "This is Sophronia Butler. I received a visit from one of your representatives about selling my property." "Ah, yes, Mrs. Butler. Thank you for calling. My client is very interested in your property. They're prepared to offer $200,000 cash, closing within 2 weeks, It's a very generous offer. Who is your client? I'm not at liberty to disclose that at this time, but I can assure you they're a reputable buyer with the funds ready. I'm not interested in selling. Mrs. Butler, I'd encourage you to reconsider. This is an excellent price for your property. And frankly, at your age, wouldn't it be easier to move into a smaller place? Something more manageable. You could use the proceeds to live very comfortably in a senior community. I'm very comfortable where I am. Thank you, but no. Mrs. Butler, my client is prepared to go as high as $225,000. That's our final offer. But you need to decide quickly. This offer expires in 1 week. My answer is no. Don't contact me again. I hung up, but I was worried, very worried, because this felt like another scheme, another attempt to take my house. I called Geneva, told her what happened. Someone's trying to buy my house, offering way more than it's worth, pressuring me to sell quickly. What do you think is going on? It could be legitimate. Maybe a developer wants to buy multiple properties in your neighborhood. Or, she paused, or it could be someone who knows the house's history. Someone who thinks they can pressure you into selling by making you think this is your only chance to get good money for it. Like who? Like someone who tried to take the house before and failed. Someone who might be trying a different approach now. You think it's Prince? I think it's possible. Does he have any connections to real estate investors? Anyone who might help him with a scheme like this? Not that I know of, but Geneva, Prince is broke. He's working at a warehouse making minimum wage. How could he be behind a $225,000 offer? He doesn't need to have the money. He just needs to get you to agree to sell. Then the deal falls through at the last minute, and suddenly Prince is there offering to buy it himself for much less. Or he finds some other way to manipulate the situation. I don't know exactly what the scheme is, but my instincts say something's not right. What should I do? Don't sell, don't even consider it, and investigate who's really behind this offer. Get a property lawyer, not me, I'm not licensed for that, to look into who this buyer really is. I hired a property lawyer named Cicero. He dug into Virgil and Associates. What he found shocked me. Mrs. Butler, Virgil and Associates is a real law firm, but the client they're representing, it's a shell company, a company that exists only on paper. And when I dug deeper, I found out who's behind that shell company. Who? Your daughter-in-law, Clemmy. She created the company 3 months ago. And get this, she's trying to buy your house with a loan she's already pre-approved for. But here's the thing. The loan is based on her claiming she has a family arrangement with you. That you've promised to sell her the house at below market value, and she's just formalizing it. That's a lie. I never promised any such thing. I know, but she's forged documents suggesting you did. Emails that look like they came from you. Text messages. She's created a paper trail of a fake agreement. And if you'd agreed to sell to her shell company, she'd have gone a loan for $225,000, paid you maybe $150,000, and pocketed the difference. Then probably defaulted on the loan, lost the house to foreclosure, and disappeared with your money. I felt sick. She's been planning this, while living in my garage, while I've been helping her. Yes, and Mrs. Butler, there's more. I found evidence that Prince is involved too. He's been helping her. They've been running this con together. But they're working minimum wage jobs. They're saving money to move out. They've been so grateful. That's the act. They've been playing you, making you feel sorry for them so you'd let them stay close, so they could execute this plan. I sat down hard. My own son, after everything. After I'd taken them in when they were homeless. After I'd fed them. After I'd given them a chance to rebuild. They were trying to steal from me again. That evening, I confronted them. I had Cicero with me, and Geneva, and a police officer. Prince Clemmy, come inside, we need to talk. They came in looking nervous. They saw the lawyer, the police officer. Their faces went pale. Mama, what's going on? I know about the shell company, about the fake loan, about the forged documents, about the whole scheme to steal my house. Clemmy started crying immediately. Mrs. Butler, I can explain. Explain what? How you've been lying to me for a week. How you've been planning to steal my house while I fed you and gave you shelter. Explain that. Prince stood up. Mama, we're desperate. We have nothing. You got your house back, you're fine, but we're broke. We just wanted a chance to have something too. So you decided to steal from me again. We weren't stealing. We were just finding a solution that would work for everyone. A solution that involved fraud, forgery, lying. We didn't have a choice. You had a choice. You chose to be criminals, again. Officer, arrest them. The police officer stepped forward. Prince Butler, Clemmy Butler, you're under arrest for attempted fraud, forgery, and conspiracy. They were handcuffed, read their rights, and led out of my house, MY house, for the last time. As they were put in the police car, Prince looked back at me. Mama, how could you do this? I'm your son. I walked to the police car, looked my son in the eyes. You're my son who has tried to steal from me twice, who has lied to me repeatedly, who has shown me no mercy, no love, no respect. You're my son in name only, and I'm done being your victim. The police car drove away, and I stood there on my porch, the porch they'd kicked me off of 6 months ago, and felt something I hadn't felt in a year, peace. They were gone, really gone, and they wouldn't be coming back. But what I didn't know was that this wasn't over yet, because Prince and Clemmy had one more card to play, one more person who'd help them try to destroy me, and when I found out who it was, I'd be shocked. They were scamming her the whole time. If you're OUTRAGED and need to see the final ending, smash that like button and subscribe now. Turn on all notifications. And comment, where are you watching from? And what do you think happens next? Prince and Clemmy spent 3 days in jail before someone bylaid them out. I found out about it when my lawyer Cicero called me. Sophronia, your son and daughter-in-law made bail, $10,000 each. Someone paid $20,000 to get them out. Who? They don't have money. They don't have anyone who'd pay that much. That's what I wanted to tell you. The person who bylaid them out was your sister. My blood ran cold. Noble, my sister Noble paid their bail. Yes, and Sophronia, there's more. I did some investigating. Your sister has been in contact with Prince for the past year. She's been helping him, advising him. She knew about the plan to take your house. She was part of it. I sat down hard. My sister, my own sister, had been helping my son steal from me. Noble and I had never been close. She was 5 years younger than me. We'd grown up in competition. She always felt like our parents favored me. When I'd married Homer and bought our house, she'd been resentful, said I was showing off, said I thought I was better than everyone. We'd barely spoken in the past 10 years, just obligatory calls on holidays. I hadn't even told her about Prince kicking me out because I'd assumed she wouldn't care. Apparently, I was wrong. She did care. She cared enough to help Prince try to destroy me. Why would she do this? I asked Cicero. I don't know, but Sophronia, now that they're out on bail, they might try something else. You need to be careful. Change your security codes. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Don't let anyone in you don't trust completely. I won't. Thank you for warning me. 2 days later, Noble showed up at my door. I watched through the window as she walked up the path. She was 71 years old, shorter than me, with gray hair and a permanent scowl on her face. She knocked. Sophronia, I know you're in there. Open this door. We need to talk. I opened it but kept the chain lock on. What do you want, Noble? I want to talk about our nephew, about Prince. You had him arrested, Sophronia, your own son. How could you do that? He tried to steal my house. Again, he committed fraud. He forged documents. What should I have done? Let him get away with it. He's family. Family doesn't send family to jail. Family doesn't steal from family either. But Prince has stolen from me twice now. So maybe your definition of family is different from mine. He made mistakes. He's desperate. You should have helped him instead of destroying him. I did help him. I let him live in my garage. I fed him. I gave him time to find a job and save money. And while I was helping him, he was planning to defraud me out of my house. So no, Noble, I'm not the villain here. You're the one with everything. You have this house. You have money. Prince has nothing. Would it kill you to share? I did share. For 47 years, I shared with Prince. I raised him, fed him, clothed him, paid for his education, helped him when he was in trouble, gave him chance after chance after chance, and he repaid me by stealing from me and throwing me out of my own home. So yes, Noble, I'm done sharing. He can figure out his own life. You're heartless. No, I have boundaries. There's a difference. Now tell me, why did you bail him out? Why are you helping him try to steal from me? Noble's face flushed. Because someone in this family needs to stand up for him. Someone needs to show him love instead of judgment. Or maybe you're doing it because you've always resented me, always been jealous of what I had. And helping Prince hurt me makes you feel better about your own life. That's not true. Isn't it? Noble, you've hated me for 50 years. Hated that I had a good marriage when you got divorced. Hated that I had this house when you rented apartments. Hated that I seemed happy when you were miserable. This isn't about helping, Prince. This is about hurting me. Admit it. She glared at me. Fine, yes, I've resented you. Is that what you want to hear? That I've spent my whole life watching you have everything while I struggled? That I was happy when Prince kicked you out because finally you were getting what you deserved? What I deserved? Noble, I worked for everything I have. Homer and I worked 2 jobs for years to buy this house. We saved and sacrificed and built a life. I didn't get lucky. I worked hard. And if you'd spent less time resenting me and more time building your own life, maybe you'd be happy too. I did build my own life. Did you? Or did you spend it being bitter and angry? Noble, you're 71 years old. When are you going to take responsibility for your own happiness instead of blaming me for having mine? She had no answer, just stood there looking at me with decades of resentment in her eyes. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. You're going to leave my property. You're going to stop helping Prince try to steal from me, and you're going to stay out of my life. If you don't, I'll get a restraining order against you too. I'm done being victimized by my own family. You're going to end up alone, Sophronia. Your son hates you. Your sister hates you. You'll die alone in this house with no one who cares about you. Maybe, but I'll die in my house, the house I worked for, the house I earned, and I'll die with my dignity intact. Can you say the same? She turned and left, and I locked the door behind her. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what Noble had said, about ending up alone, about no one caring about me. Was she right? Had I been too harsh, too unforgiving? Was I destroying my family over money and property? But then I remembered standing on my lawn with my belongings in garbage bags, remembered sleeping in a shelter, remembered my son looking me in the eyes and telling me to leave my own home. No, I wasn't being too harsh. I was protecting myself, setting boundaries, refusing to be victimized. And if that meant being alone, then I'd rather be alone than be surrounded by people who only wanted to use me. The next morning, I heard a commotion outside. Voices, shouting. I looked out the window and saw Prince, Clemmy, and Noble standing on my lawn. Behind them were 2 police cars. I went outside. What's going on? One of the police officers, a woman named Officer Tennessee, approached me. Ma'am, are you Sophronia Butler? Yes. These 3 individuals are claiming you illegally evicted them from this property. They're saying they have a right to be here. Is that true? No, this is my house. Only my name is on the deed. Prince and Clemmy lived here briefly a year ago with my permission, but I revoked that permission. They were legally evicted by court order 6 months ago. They have no right to be here. That's a lie, Noble shouted. Sophronia promised Prince this house. She said she'd give it to him when she died. He has a right to it. I made no such promise, and even if I had, a verbal promise about inheritance isn't legally binding. This is my house. I can do whatever I want with it. Officer Tennessee looked at Prince. Sir, do you have any documentation proving you have a right to this property? No, but my mother promised. Promises aren't legal claims, sir. Do you have a deed? A lease? Any written agreement? No, but... Then you don't have a legal right to be here. And ma'am, she turned to me, do you have proof of ownership? Yes, the deed is in my name only. I also have a court order from 6 months ago evicting Prince and Clemmy from this property. And I have a restraining order preventing them from coming within 500 feet of me or my home. I went inside and got the documents, showed them to Officer Tennessee. She reviewed them carefully. Mr. Butler, you're in violation of a restraining order. You're under arrest. What? No, you can't arrest me. I'm just trying to get my inheritance. My mother owes me. Your mother doesn't owe you anything, sir. And you're violating a court order by being here. Turn around and put your hands behind your back. As Officer Tennessee arrested Prince, he looked at me with pure hatred. I hope you're happy, Mama. You've destroyed your own son, sent him to jail, all over a house. Was it worth it? Yes, I said simply. It was worth it, because this house represents 45 years of my life, 45 years of work and sacrifice and memories, and I'm not letting you take that from me. Not for your greed, not for your schemes, not for anything. You'll regret this. No, I won't. You'll regret it. You'll regret choosing to steal from your mother instead of building your own life. You'll regret betraying the one person who loved you unconditionally for 47 years. You'll regret it, not me. They arrested Clemmy, too, for violating the restraining order. Noble wasn't arrested. She hadn't violated any orders, but Officer Tennessee warned her to leave and not come back. As the police cars drove away with my son and his wife in them, I felt empty, not happy, not sad, just empty. My sister turned back to look at me one last time. You've won, Sophronia. You have your house, but you've lost your family. I hope it was worth it. She walked away, and I stood on my porch in front of my house, and thought about her words. Had I lost my family, or had I never really had one to begin with? 6 months later, I stood in my living room looking around. The house was beautiful. I'd finished all the renovations, new furniture, fresh paint, everything exactly how I wanted it. And I wasn't alone, because while I'd lost the family I was born with, I'd gained a new family, a chosen family. Geneva, the lawyer who'd helped me when I had nothing, had become my closest friend. She came over twice a week for dinner. We'd talk, laugh, share our stories. I'd also connected with other women from the shelter, women who'd been through hard times, women who understood what it meant to lose everything and rebuild. We'd formed a support group, met weekly at my house, helped each other navigate challenges, celebrated victories together. And I'd started volunteering at the very shelter where I'd stayed, helping other elderly women who'd been financially abused by family members, sharing my story, showing them they could survive, they could fight back, they could reclaim their lives. My life was full, not with blood relatives who saw me as a source of money, but with people who saw me as a person, who valued me, who cared about me for who I was, not what I had. Prince and Clemmy, they pleaded guilty to fraud and restraining order violations, got probation and community service. They moved to another state. I heard through mutual acquaintances that they were struggling but surviving, working low-wage jobs, living in a small apartment, finally learning to build their own lives instead of stealing from others. Part of me hoped they'd learned their lesson. Part of me knew they probably hadn't, but it wasn't my problem anymore. They'd made their choices. Now they had to live with the consequences. Noble, she never contacted me again. Fine by me. I'd spent 72 years trying to have a relationship with a sister who resented me. I was done trying. 1 year after that final confrontation on my lawn, I got a letter from Prince, forwarded through Geneva because he didn't have my new phone number or email. Dear Mama, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know I've hurt you in ways that can't be undone, but I needed to write this letter anyway. I'm sorry. I'm truly, deeply sorry for everything I did to you, for stealing from you, for kicking you out of your house, for trying to defraud you, for putting you through hell for over a year. I was selfish, greedy, entitled. I thought I deserved your house and your money just because I was your son. I thought you owed me because you're my mother, but I was wrong. You didn't owe me anything. Everything you did for me, raising me, supporting me, helping me, those were gifts, not obligations. I'm in therapy now, Court-ordered at first, but I'm continuing it on my own because I need it. I'm working on myself, on understanding why I became the person I became, on learning to take responsibility instead of blaming others. I'm not asking you to forgive me. I don't deserve forgiveness. I'm just asking you to know that I finally understand what I did, and I'm sorry. If you never want to hear from me again, I understand. But if someday, maybe years from now, you want to talk, I'll be here, not asking for anything, not expecting anything, just ready to listen and to be the son you deserved all along. Your son, Prince. I read that letter 3 times, and I cried. Because despite everything, despite all the pain, all the betrayal, all the cruelty, he was still my son, and part of me still loved him. But love wasn't enough. Love without respect, without boundaries, without consequences, that wasn't healthy love. That was enabling, and I was done enabling. I wrote back. One sentence, I received your letter. Thank you for apologizing. We'll see what the future holds. That was it. No promises of reconciliation, no immediate forgiveness, just possibility. Maybe someday, if Prince really changed, if he really became a better person, we could have some kind of relationship. Not the mother-son relationship we'd had before, that was gone forever. But maybe something new, something healthier, something based on mutual respect instead of obligation. Or maybe not. Maybe the damage was too deep. Maybe some things couldn't be fixed. But that was okay, because I'd learned something important. I didn't need Prince to be happy. I didn't need Noble to validate me. I didn't need blood relatives to be family. I had my house, my friends, my purpose, my peace, and that was enough. Today, I'm 74 years old. I live in my house, the house I fought for, the house I earned, the house I'll die in someday, and I'm happy. Not the complicated, exhausting happiness that comes from trying to please difficult family members, but the simple, peaceful happiness that comes from being true to yourself, from setting boundaries, from refusing to be victimized. My son and his wife tried to kick me out of my own home. They thought they'd won, thought they'd taken everything from me. But they were wrong, because 6 months later they were outside my door begging to come in, begging for help, begging for mercy. And I had the power to say no, the power to set boundaries, the power to protect myself. They thought kicking me out would break me, but it made me stronger. It taught me that I didn't need them, that I could survive on my own, that I was more resilient than anyone, including myself, had imagined. And now I'm not just surviving, I'm thriving, living life on my own terms, helping others who have been through similar situations, building a legacy that has nothing to do with blood and everything to do with character. My son kicked me out of my home, but I got it back. And when he came begging to get back in, I had the strength to say no. Because sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to be destroyed by the people who are supposed to love you. Sometimes the greatest victory is simply surviving and thriving despite those who tried to break you. I am Sophronia Me Butler. I am 74 years old. I own my home. I control my life. And nobody, not my son, not my sister, not anyone, will ever take that from me again. And that's not just survival, that's victory. Wow, what an incredible journey from being homeless to taking back her power. If this story moved you, inspired you, or showed you the importance of boundaries, we need you to take action right now. Smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel for more powerful grandmother stories every single week. Turn on all notifications so you never miss our next amazing story. Comment below and tell us, where are you watching from? USA, UK, Canada, Jamaica, South Africa, Trinidad, Australia, Zimbabwe. We love our global family. Would you have let them back in? Have you ever had to set boundaries with family? What was the most powerful moment in this story? Share this video with anyone dealing with toxic family members, people who struggle with setting boundaries, elderly people facing financial abuse from relatives, anyone who needs to know it's okay to say no to family, everyone who believes chosen family is real family. Thank you to our incredible viewers from around the world. From the USA, United Kingdom, Canada, South Africa, Kenya, Jamaica, Trinidad, Barbados, Zimbabwe, Australia, and everywhere else. We see you, we appreciate you, and we love you. Remember Sophronia's lessons. BOUNDRAES are not cruelty, they're self-preservation. Family doesn't have the right to abuse you just because they're blood. You can survive and thrive after family betrayal. Sometimes saying no is the most powerful word. Chosen family is real family, and protecting yourself doesn't make you heartless, it makes you strong. Stay strong, stay blessed, and remember, your home, your peace, and your dignity are worth fighting for even against family.